You've probably never thought about this, but right now, less than 1% of the world's population has the eye color you're about to learn about. And the craziest part, the science behind it is way more interesting than you think. Your eyes are basically a genetic lottery ticket that was drawn thousands of years ago. But here's what most people get wrong about eye color. It's not actually about the color itself. It's about something happening at the molecular level that most scientists only recently started fully understanding. Let's start with the basics. Your eyes aren't really blue or green or hazel. They're actually all the same color underneath. Every single person on Earth has the exact same pigment in their eyes. It's called melanin. Yes, the same stuff that colors your skin. So if everyone has the same pigment, why do eyes look so different? The answer comes down to physics, not biology. When light hits your eye, it doesn't just get absorbed by that melanin. It bounces around inside the iris. That's the colored part of your eye. And depending on how much melanin you have and how it's arranged, different wavelengths of light get reflected back out. This is called the Rayleigh scattering effect, and it's the same phenomenon that makes the sky appear blue, even though there's no blue light source up there. Brown eyes are actually the most common eye color on the planet. About 79% of the world's population has them. This is because brown eyes require less genetic complexity. It's the dominant trait, which means even if you inherit just one gene for brown eyes from either parent, you'll likely have brown eyes. The melanin is densely packed in the front layers of the iris, so it absorbs most of the light that enters. But blue eyes, that's where it gets weird. Blue eyes only started appearing in humans about 10,000 years ago. That's incredibly recent in evolutionary terms. Before that, virtually every human had brown eyes. Scientists traced this back to a single genetic mutation that occurred in someone living near the Black Sea. One person, one mutation, and from that, every single blue-eyed person on Earth is descended. This mutation created what's called a switch in the gene that produces melanin. It didn't stop melanin production entirely, it just limited how much melanin could be deposited in the front layer of the iris. So blue eyes actually have melanin. They're just more blue because of how light scatters through the less pigmented iris. It's like the difference between looking through clear glass and frosted glass. Which brings us to something shocking that most people don't realize. The shade of blue in someone's eyes can actually change throughout their life. Babies are often born with blue eyes, but as they grow, more melanin deposits can accumulate. Some people's eyes actually darken over time, and in very rare cases, stress, certain medications, or even sun exposure can slightly alter eye color. Green eyes are rarer than blue eyes. Only about 2% of the global population has them. Green eyes result from a completely different genetic combination, a mix of low melanin in the front layer with higher melanin in the back layers. This creates a filtering effect that produces that distinctive green hue. What's fascinating is that green eyes almost never appear in babies. They develop over time as the iris continues to develop. The rarest natural eye color, though, is red, and this isn't what you might think. Red eyes don't come from albinism, although that's a common misconception. Red eyes are actually a result of extremely low melanin levels combined with the visibility of blood vessels in the eye. This is called ocular albinism, and it affects roughly 1 in 20,000 people. When someone has ocular albinism, there's so little pigment in their iris that you can actually see the tiny blood vessels underneath. Then there are violet eyes. Violet eyes are so rare that scientists debate whether they actually exist in nature. There have been claims throughout history. Some people with extremely fair skin and very low melanin have been described as having violet eyes. But it's possible this is just the combination of red blood vessels showing through an extremely light iris appearing as violet under certain lighting conditions. Amber eyes are another rare category. They contain a high concentration of the yellow pigment lipochrome. These eyes have an almost golden or honey-like appearance. Amber eyes are more common in certain parts of the world, particularly in Asia and South America, but they're still relatively uncommon globally. Now here's something that will blow your mind. eye color can be faked, completely faked. Not with contacts, I mean genetically faked. Some people have heterochromia. This means they have two different eye colors. One eye might be brown and the other green, or one blue and one hazel. This happens when a genetic mutation affects only some cells during eye development in the womb. It's like your developing eyes didn't get the same genetic memo. Complete heterochromia, where each eye is a completely different color, is incredibly rare, affecting only about 1 in 1,000 people. But there's a different type called sectoral heterochromia. This is when different parts of the same eye are different colors. Someone might have a brown eye with a green section, creating this stunning multicolored effect. This is slightly more common than complete heterochromia, but it's still rare enough that most people have never seen it in person. The genetics of eye color are more complex than the simple textbooks suggest. Scientists used to think it was controlled by 1 or 2 genes, but we now know at least 16 different genes influence eye color. This is why you get those surprising combinations, like two brown-eyed parents having a blue-eyed child. It happens because both parents could be carriers of the recessive blue gene, even if their brown eyes are dominant. Certain ethnicities are more likely to have certain eye colors simply because of geographic ancestry. Scandinavian populations have higher rates of blue eyes because the mutations spread more efficiently in those regions. African populations predominantly have brown eyes, but the world is mixing more than ever before, which means we're seeing increasingly rare eye color combinations in populations where they were previously unheard of. Here's something that ties everything together. Your eye color might actually say something about your ancestry that you didn't know. If you have red hair and green eyes, you're carrying markers that trace back to Celtic populations. If you have light eyes, somewhere in your family tree, possibly many generations back, you have ancestors who lived in Northern Europe. Brown eyes with specific patterns can indicate ancestry from the Mediterranean or Middle East. Scientists have started using eye color databases to track human migration patterns. They can literally map where populations moved thousands of years ago by analyzing the distribution of certain eye color genes. Your eyes are a window into your family's history. The most incredible part about all of this, we're still discovering new things about eye color. Researchers recently found that the exact shade of blue or green in someone's eyes can predict certain health outcomes. People with light-colored eyes tend to have different responses to certain medications. Some studies suggest that people with certain eye colors might have different pain tolerances or different susceptibilities to certain eye diseases. People with brown eyes, for instance, have better protection against UV damage because they have more melanin. This is why skin cancer rates are different across populations with different eye colors. The same melanin that protects your eyes also protects your skin. And then there's the psychological aspect that nobody talks about. Studies show that people perceive people with different eye colors differently. Blue-eyed individuals are often rated as more trustworthy in Western cultures, but in other parts of the world, brown eyes are associated with more positive traits. This is pure cultural conditioning. There's nothing objectively different about people based on eye color, but it's fascinating how our brains make these instant associations. So why does any of this matter? Because eye color is a perfect example of how complex human genetics really is. We think we understand something simple, and then we dig deeper and realize that nothing is simple. One mutation 10,000 years ago cascaded into billions of people with blue eyes. The exact arrangement of molecules in a tiny part of your eye determines how you're perceived, your health risks, and potentially your ancestry. The next time you look at someone's eyes, you're not just looking at their appearance, you're looking at thousands of years of human migration, genetic mutations, and evolutionary adaptation all combined into that small circle of color. You're looking at a physical record of where their family came from, and if you have rare eye color, you're carrying a genetic variation that less than 1% of humanity has. You're literally a walking example of human genetic diversity. That's pretty remarkable when you think about it.